Alright. This is a very, very small patch. As I said last time, a small patch in terms of high-low meta is not really gonna change this by much. But I didn't talk about all the detailed numbers yet, so let's see. So Kled, they said he's down like 0.8% win rate on like highly mained Kled 1 chick, so it's worse now, which is surprising to me. When I was reading the rework, I thought it would be above the Kled. Dismounted resistances increased from 1 to 2% bonus HP to 4 plus 1% bonus HP. And then, to 10 to 2.5 plus 2.5% bonus HP based on number of nearby enemy champions. So okay, Kled is simply going to get more resist when he's dismounted. So he's gonna naturally stay alive longer. This makes a lot of sense, like buffing resist, because Kled, from itemization standpoint, mainly only gets health. So yeah, resist makes a lot of sense here. Riven, bug fix, no longer occasionally sends enemies across the map with Q3. So they are fixing the bug, and they're not buffing Riven, it seems like. They're not reverting the nerf partially. So, right, I think, so the reason why they want to do this is they want to see how much win rate the bug impacted on Riven. If the win rate is still low after the bug gets fixed, then Riven will for sure get buffed next patch. So, I know a lot of Riven players are like complaining, blah, 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 but let's be honest, your champion was pretty much like S+ tier for like God knows how many months now. You can survive 2 more weeks without, if she's truly that weak. Alistar, base armor 47 to 40. That is crazy. So Alistar is receiving the same type of treatment that Braum is receiving. Riot is going after their base armor. Alistar and Braum had the highest base armors in the game for champions, and the reason why the base armors are this insane is because I guess they're just melee stat trackers and they need to have very inflated stats so they're able to be good. It's interesting. I mean, honestly, it doesn't really surprise me. This is, I think, roughly 1% win rate, most likely, of Alistar. And I think with Alistar being nerfed, with Rell being nerfed, with Braum being nerfed, what's going to happen is Rakan is going to become better. Naut and Loan are going to slightly rise up in priority, and if you don't want to play those champions, then maybe you're gonna play Enchanters. But yeah, Alistar means 7 armor, that's no joke. Bel'Veth, Q champion damage down by 10, Q monster bonus damage plus by 10. That means it doesn't affect the wave clear of jungle, doesn't affect the clear speed at all. Passive attack speed, however, will have a higher scaling, so it's a buff from level 2 onwards. So Riot is trying to nerf Bel'Veth's early game, buff Bel'Veth's late game, which I think is a really good decision. Bel'Veth, identity-wise, should kind of be a late game champion because of like, you know, she has this fantasy of stacking a lot of attack speed and then late game she like fucking 10 attack speed per second, blah, 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 right? So it makes a lot of sense, honestly, what I'm seeing here. Now this, like 10 damage is actually a lot from Bel'Veth because she uses this spell 4 times, right? And then the W also gives her a tick of Q if she hits the W. And that is important because as Bel'Veth, you want to make the enemy low, so then you can finish them with E in early game, right? And losing 10 damage, which is more than 10 because you're probably queuing people multiple times, is a big deal. Braum is getting another nerf this time. So last time, how much did he lose? 5 armor, right? Last time. This time, he's losing 5 more armor, and he's losing 0.2 armor growth per level. So this again is a strictly early game focused nerf. Once you're in mid to late game, it will not be noticeable as much because then you have a lot of armor, so the percentage is less, right? With how much you're like the nerf will just be less impactful. But this is strictly an early game nerf, and yeah, I mean blind picking Braum or picking Braum in bad spots would be more punishable. I'm honestly surprised by this. I don't disagree that Braum is still OP after the nerf they did, but I think Riot is going really heavily after Braum, which is really surprising to me because I thought Riot's thought process on Braum is that he's like a Taric or like a Shen. He's like an anti-carry and it's actually good to have him in the meta. So that's why I thought Riot would inflate Braum win rate to like 52% or 51, whatever it was. It was like around 52. Make him artificially stronger to keep him intentionally kinda in the meta because it's a good champ to have in the meta, and I think it is. So I'm kind of surprised. I think that this nerf will hit Braum really hard. I think this will be probably at least 1% win rate on, and I think eventually Rout will rebuff Braum, is what I'm thinking. Especially here, if you're blinding Braum and you get a range support, you get auto-attacked a lot in lane. This is brutal. Like, you're losing a lot more damage here. Irelia base HP regen per 5 seconds goes to from 6 to 3.5. I mean, honestly, it doesn't really end Irelia. I think this is a really weird way to nerf Irelia, personally. This is going to actually make her worse in low elo and not as big of a nerf in high elo. But yeah, she's a feast or famine champion, right? Like, either she's winning lane, which gives her all control over the wave. She's able to Q, sustain via Q, via Doran's Blade, via Cool, Borg, whatever. And the HP regen will not really impact her that much. Or she's getting fucking shit stomped in lane. And then the HP regen makes her even worse, right? Because then she's even worse in a losing position. So I think kind of makes her more feast or famine. Mastery Q damage goes to 30 to 150, 20 to 100, and it now gives 70 total AD. Total monster damage goes down early game. So, from my understanding, Riot is trying to nerf on-hit mastery here, but if you go Yuntal Infinity Mastery, you're basically buffed later in the game. I think regardless of any build you go, this is a nerf regardless of the build you go, because the early clear speed and damage is just strictly more important in my opinion than you doing 10 or 20 more damage in mid to late game with this ability. At that point you care about auto attacks, not about Q. But it is obviously a little bit of a bigger nerf to, like, you know, Kraken and Borg type of V. But I think, yeah, it's a decent nerf, I guess. It's gonna affect clear speed as well a bit. Nilah, attack speed growth down, base AD up by 2. So slight buff to early levels, but after that it's just gonna be a big nerf because she's losing a lot of attack speed growth, and this per level will be a lot bigger nerf than getting to AD. So this is a nerf to Nilah. Pantheon Q monster mod 15%. We saw that Quinn Q damage goes 20 to 100 to 65 to 205. So a big base number, the buff. But the Q goes from total ratio to bonus AD, which is a nerf. So what Riot is trying to do here is majority of Quinn players max W and then Q. And this is going to be a nerf regardless of what you built. If you max Q second, which you probably still will. I think Quinn with W max, it's probably like, I mean, maybe some Quinn players are going to swap to Q max here. It might be worth to Q max with Lethality Quinn, because this ability is actually buffed early game. Now. So maybe that's the play. I don't think this is the end of the world for Quinn. I think she's still going to be pretty similar. I kind of have a feeling Riot will have to nerf her again here. Rell, W shield down by 5 to 25. I mean, I could be wrong here, but my feeling tells me here that this nerf is really placebo. I don't know. Like, yes, this would be some winner down, but I feel like compared to Braum and Alistar, this is a joke of a nerf. This, I mean, as much as, yes, she is essentially losing 20 to 50 health permanently in teamfights because she does use the shield a lot of times to full extent. I still feel like in pro play or high elo, people will still play Rell because she still essentially does the same thing, which is that her CC is still really strong. She's still able to lane vast majority of matchups. And yeah, she just has a really insane ultimate because she just like makes Wombo comboing so easy because her engage is so brain dead and so AoE-ish. I don't know. I think this is a very slap on the wrist nerf compared to Braum and Alistar, but we're gonna see. Adjustment, Baron Usher HP regen to 0, base HP plus 100. So this is so Baron doesn't have a random regen in a fight and doesn't make you miss smite. Good change. Corki. This is interesting. Q damage 70 to 270 to 70 to 250. So losing 20 damage on max rank on an ability. That's pretty big. But instead gets 10% bonus AD. So you need 200 AD or more for the ability to be buffed. Our damage goes and is up by 5% bonus AD. So they're trying to give Corki some late game power and restrict it from some early game power. My opinion is that this is probably a nerf on bot lane, more so on mid lane. And the reason why I think this is because I think on mid lane, matchups are a lot more one-sided, which means that if you win, I don't think that 20 damage is going to really make the difference between you winning or not on mid lane. But I think on bot lane, when there's 2 champions and there's so much more all-ins, I think it might make a difference a lot more. Is what I'm thinking. But Corki right now has this build where you can go like Sojin, Cleaver, and then you go Blood Mails Overlord, and then you get a lot of AD. So Corki will eventually hit a point where he's going to be doing more damage. But then again, he's an early game skewed champion, so I don't think giving a lot of late game power to Corki is gonna really make it a difference. I think ultimately, him doing 20 less damage with Q is a big deal, because usually the champion like rushes tier or whatever, right? And then he just kind of stat checks you with this ability. And this ability is very hard to dodge as well. So, yeah. E Vassal duration, 10 to 7. So I already kind of talked about Rek'Sai and Illaoi. So Illaoi mains are really unhappy with the changes. Apparently people have been trying it on PBE and it feels really bad because you can't, like apparently when you're laning as Illaoi, you can't E into ult into W, like to fuck someone up because the E disappears mega fast and then the all-in isn't as strong. So, I could be wrong, I'm gonna obviously wait, but kind of my feeling tells me that Illaoi might be really hard nerf with these changes, but we're gonna see. They're trying to, like, the reason why they're doing this is because they're trying to reduce frustration on Illaoi. But my feeling tells me that this is like a massive nerf, but I could be wrong. And then Rek'Sai getting her true damage back. I mean, I already said it, it's really good for the game. Like, PHREAK fucked up by removing her true damage. Well, that's the patch. Not much to say. Yeah.